Well, I think that looking the way things are now, certainly there is movement towards the European Union, and there is an acceleration in that direction. I'm not sure that it's the case for NATO, unless tomorrow at the summit there are some new statements and new readiness from the NATO members to accelerate our Euro-Atlantic integration. But certainly we are ready, we are preparing for that, and we will be ready to accelerate the path in whatever direction where there will be readiness on the part of our partners to receive us.
So just to be clear, the anxiety is on the part of NATO members, not on the part of Georgia?
The anxieties, I don't know. But certainly we are waiting to see signals that there might be a similar acceleration in terms of the NATO path as there has been on the part of the European Union, where clearly the European leaders have shown that they are looking in a different manner to those countries, the associate members and maybe also the Western Balkans, to show them that they can politically be welcome in the European Union with less procedures, less bureaucratic obstacles than they have been in the past years. That doesn't mean that it will be an immediate process, but there is a new opening, what we call a window of opportunity, and we are certainly ready to seize that window.
No, totally. And just very briefly on that before we move on, if things went to plan, when do you think Georgia could have either full or associate membership of the EU?
There's been no discussion on dates, and it's clearly not us that can fix the dates. No. We'll have to go through some path of reforms anyway. The demands will not change. Maybe the bureaucracy will change a little bit. But the political decision will have to come from the European leaders, and the European leaders today are very clearly putting the priority in their support towards Ukraine. The war is going on, so I don't think that we can expect some political decisions in the very immediate future. But I think that the acceleration means that we're not going to talk about years, but more short term.
Now, from the outside, it certainly looks as though you as president have been much more critical of Putin, much more in favour of punishing Russia through sanctions than your prime minister. Is that correct?
Well, there might be differences of wordings, but I don't think that one expects Georgia to be the one punishing Russia, as you said, with sanctions, because our means to punish Russia are quite limited. As you know, we do not have diplomatic relations since the 2008 war. We do not have flights with Russia. We are not that dependent on Russian energy. It's limited, and our main provider is Azerbaijan. We are receiving wheat from Russia, but that's not under sanctions. And our financial sector, our banks, are fully following the financial sanctions. We are completely there online with our partners. So I think we are doing the utmost, and probably our main also cost that we're taking in all of that is the fact that we already have occupied territories, and those two occupied regions are clearly for us a matter for concern, and not only for us. I know that it's a matter for concern for our European partners. They know that there is an extreme sensitivity in Georgia because of that. We have Russian military bases and troops that are about 40 kilometers from Tbilisi, the capital city. But that doesn't mean that Georgia is not in full solidarity with Ukraine. We have been two countries that have gone the same history for the past 2 centuries under Russian, then Soviet, then again Russian rule and occupations. So we know what it means, and we are on the same line as Ukraine.
Which I think many will be reassured to hear, but although there's some puzzlement about why Ukraine seemed to get very angry with you about not doing enough when it came to sanctions and actually withdrew, their ambassador.
Well, there has been, the ambassador has been called for consultations. I think there has been misunderstanding about some statements, but that doesn't change the relation between the two states. And I think, again, that on that we are on the same line.
OK. Now, after Russia occupied South Ossetia, you felt the West didn't do enough to put pressure on Russia back then. Do you now take the view that if the West had acted more decisively, maybe Putin would have been deterred from what he's done today in Ukraine?
I think it's not only me. If I heard some of the statements that was made, including at the House of Commons and elsewhere, the West understands very well that it has not reacted, and it has not, more than reaction, it has not measured well what happened in 2008 and what it signified about Russian intentions and Russian aggressivity. And I think that this miscalculation, and not only in 2008 in Georgia, but in 2014 in Crimea, have been probably some of the elements that have encouraged Russia to continue on this aggressive path, which we have seen now in full deployment in Ukraine.
No, totally right. And therefore, following on from that, how worried are you that if Putin were to succeed in Ukraine, he would then come back to Georgia and try and occupy more of your country?
Well, I think that we all have to be concerned about what might happen if Putin gets what he wants in Ukraine, which I think is already not the case, because he wanted the things in a very different manner. He thought that he was going to get rendition of Ukraine in a very few days. And I think that what we're seeing even today, the latest news is that Ukrainians are not only resisting, but they're fighting back. And they're gaining back some of the places that were held by Russia. So I think that things are not done. But if that were the case, nonetheless, I think we all have to be concerned, the same ways as we should all have been concerned about what happened in Georgia in 2008 and in Crimea in 2014.
Madam President, it's been great talking to you, and I'm sure we all agree that what's at stake is indeed the survival of, the free world.
We do.
Many thanks.